19 out of 23 were biologically younger after the 52 hours. So 82% were on average 3.44 years younger.
Good afternoon, Patriots, and welcome to the 133rd audio chat on the Q News Patriot Rumble Channel series. I'm the Q News Patriot, joined again today by researcher and patriot Dr. Jenny Hsu from California. My name is SG Anon. For those out there, you'll recognize Dr. Hsu as having come on the platform before. Dr. Hsu is a scalar technology and wellness practitioner, as well as a lifestyle medicine physician out there in California. And we have a very interesting discussion and a number of different topics to tee up and really crunch on today. It's my honor to have her back to the show. Dr. Hsu, thank you for your patience in getting back, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, SG. It's an honor to share this with your audience, and this is something that the Patriots could all really look forward to experiencing right now, the scalar energy.
Well, I have to admit, it's extremely exciting, the findings that you've had and that you've recently presented at a conference, I believe, in Las Vegas, Nevada, the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, one of the larger medical presentation expos out there in the United States. Before we get into that, Dr. Hsu, I know that you're a scalar technology enthusiast, that you're certainly an advocate for it, that you utilize the technology yourself. For the audience out there, before we start talking about your clinical findings, which I'm deeply excited to get into, can you give us a fifth grade understanding from a medical practitioner's lens? What is scalar and why is it important?
Yes, scalar energy is just amazing, universal standing field that is present in ways that is really powerful, especially when captured by the energy enhancement system. And basically, it provides a hyper healthy environment, these bioactive, life enhancing energy that some believe is the first energy that when God created the universe, this is what first represented the first light. And so this energy is really helpful for increasing cellular charge and giving us the opportunity for our body to heal ourselves. And not only does it provide that optimal energy, it balances the pH in the blood, it helps regulate blood sugar. And because the scalar waves are very broad spectrum, they can help a whole host of health challenges, not only for, let's say, adults, but for children. It's safe for pregnant women, it's safe for pets. And so there's so many applications that scalar energy is beneficial for.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, Dr. Hsu, scalar energy was one of the energy components of universal, essentially waveform that Nikola Tesla identified, and specifically through their torsion fields. You described it a moment ago as sort of a hyper healthy wellness environment. And while we understand that we can't make claims that are not necessarily adjudicated and endorsed here by the FDA, I think it's worth noting that anything that amplifies the wellness gradient of the human being is really very exciting. Do you mind to give us a little bit more of how that energy amplifies that wellness as you see it, and if you can, maybe by what mechanisms you understand that to be the case?
Absolutely. And yes, Nikola Tesla is known as the father of scalar energy, and he was the one who first harnessed it. And he could demonstrate that it could be harnessed without, let's say, uh, lines of attachment. This is waves that are present in this field. And so the way that you can think about how it can work is that energy is sufficient for, um, again, the body healing itself. So sometimes when people are not well, such as if they're dealing with a very serious diagnosis, such as, let's say, cancer, their energy level drops. And so they don't even have the energy to heal themselves. So the very first thing that easily happens is that the cellular charge increases to the normal level of 70 to 90 millivolts across the cell membrane. And it can also activate stem cells. It improves immune function. And really, at many different levels, we have had just reports and testimonials, as well as even scientific research, showing that it has helped different things such as improved just neurovelocity transfer to improvements of certain conditions, whether it's autism, ADHD, memory loss, such as Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. And so the mechanism is that it basically gives the charge to the body. It's like a human battery charger. So this is how your body can take this energy and effectively use your own ability to heal yourself. And that's why just sitting in the field, such as taking a nap or meditating, is great because you're also going to be able to use your own body's potential to get into a more relaxed state, what we call the parasympathetic state, to activate those stem cells, to really also shift the expression, the DNA, which is really important for some of my research because people tend to think that genes are very, let's say, uh, let's say, irreversible or fixed. However, part of what we know, not only with what the E-system can do, but a lot of scientific data shows that there is a potential for reversing health problems. And so this is also what we're going to be able to see in the results.
Very exciting. And so if you could, Dr. Shu, do you mind to give us, a little bit of a blow by blow, if you can, maybe walk us through a watered down Reader's Digest version of the presentation that you recently did? As I understand it, that you have research that you've been sort of collating for a long time and accruing for a long time with respect to how this particular field affects the body at the genetic level and with respect especially to aging and the entirety of the oxidative aging expressive process. So in the spirit of getting a little bit nerdy, maybe is the best way to say it, do you mind to walk us through a little bit of what that presentation was and why it was so significant?
Thank you so much. Yes, happy to do that. So I will share my slides and hold it up for the audience to see. And really grateful that you're offering this to your audience so that they can learn more about the uh, process by which we did the study. So we call this the quantum wellness transformation. We were looking at epigenetic, metabolic, quality of health and life effects. And we have a 24-unit energy enhancement system at Wellness Visions in Richmond, California. And why I chose the 24 unit is because it actually has specific biogeometry. So there's a lot of biophysics involved that was actually ideal for DNA repair and also the potential for your body to express along what we call the epigenetic. Again, this goes back to that we may inherit our genes from our father and our mother. However, the expression of the genes may depend on many things, including being in the scalar field of this hyper healthy field, as well as the lifestyle choices you can make, such as the food you bring into your body. And unfortunately, we do live in a very toxic environment. So this is why the E system is beneficial for detoxing from negative energies and toxins that are all around us. But our mission here is to really empower people to transform their health and life through education, coaching, science and technology and community. And I know many E centers, and there's 750 around the globe. And so if people are interested, they can go to eesystem.com to find a location closest to them. And here, I talk about, yes, Nikola Tesla, and you can see down below these Tesla waves. And a lot of independent researchers, scientists, and physicians had looked at the benefits of scalar energy for different health systems, such as their endocrine and immune and nervous system and improvements in DNA. And this is an image of what that scalar vortex will look like, especially in the middle of the energy enhancement system. So it's this live energy field, and it can break down molecular bonds of fungi and bacteria to neutralizing harmful man-made electromagnetic frequencies. So we talk about that from the E system, you can have this null zone for 2.2 miles outwards, where you're again transforming the negative energies around in that field. And here's Dr. Sandra Rose Michael, who is a holistic healer and integrative biophysicist, and she created this amazing technology in 1996. But many of the benefits that I mentioned, it can regenerate cells through the stem cells, can provide a lot of relief from pain, elevate mood. It balances the left and right brain, and actually balances all the energy centers in our body. So again, multiple effects that have been measured and demonstrated. And we know that a lot of people, when they come in, they just feel so relaxed and again, more energy to do many things. And I'll point this out in the research. But it's really bring the science and the application to our mind, body, and spirit. So this is at some level a spiritual technology. And as I will share, some people find that not only are they relaxed, but they have a deeper sense of connection to themselves and to a creator, which is a beautiful thing. So it's operating actually at many different levels, not only physical, but emotional, mental, and the spiritual layer as well. And really, this is an infinitely produced type of energy. So, especially when it's embedded in objects, which many you'll see many people wearing EE system medallions, and this creates a 5 foot toroidal field. And this is something that never needs to be recharged again because it's active. But a lot of amazing science in how the EE system was constructed. So not only do you get biophotons from the screens, and they look like computer screens. However, the PCs are field engine generators. They create the biophotons, and you'll see at many centers that there are a precise alignment of the screens. So there's a collision of the biophotons to create the scalar vortex that is in and around you. And so you'll also see many colors. These correspond to the colors of the chakras, the energy centers. So there's this chromotherapy going on, as well as just a healing beneficial frequencies that are encoded into the program. And the screens themselves, you'll see them speed up, slow down. They mimic the Fibonacci sequence, which is something you'll see in every pattern from a seashell to our ear. And so Dr. Sandra was amazing to bring some of these things all together into this beautiful technology. And many centers, including ours, will use sound healing frequency as well. So that's just kind of a way that you can understand. And really, the way we like to say it is that there's a lot of beneficial frequencies, such as the Schumann resonance to the frequency of a virgin rainforest encoded. So when you come in it, it's like going to the mountains or going to the beach. You're just surrounded by this beautiful energy, and really is like the frequency of nature brought in by science, concentrated so it can assist you
Dr.
towards
Shu, just for
feeling.
my audience out there, I'd like to clarify when you say frequency and we talk about utilizing frequencies, we're also talking about in a sort of a physical material reality representation, the vibrational response of whatever matter or material is in the field. Is that correct?
Yes, that's beautiful. And going back to Nikola Tesla, he has a famous quote, if you want to know the secrets of the universe, think of energy, frequency, and vibration. So these are concepts that are interrelated but distinct. So, and we can understand this at a level where if we know that we're filled with just a lot of joy and happiness, that might be a certain, let's say, frequency of just joy, as opposed to if you're, let's say, have a loved one who's passed away, and there naturally can be some element of sadness or grief, and that's a normal thing, but that can have a different frequency. And the way that we can look at it, there is a well-known scale done by uh, David Hawkins on the level of consciousness. And because we are very powerful beings, we're all connected to the divine, all connected to our creator. And so when we are at certain frequency of 200 below, they can actually have more of a destructive effect if they are persistent and stay in our body and our energy fields, as opposed to higher level of frequencies or emotions, such as not only the joy, love, peace. And so, one of the important things for your audience is that we can always choose those. It's certainly normal to feel certain frequencies, such as feeling upset. But if you maintain that frequency of feeling upset or stress, that actually has a physical impact on your body. So, really, the best thing for all of us is to move beyond those frequencies that are not as beneficial and move to higher frequency of just again, maybe even getting to neutrality and then moving and shifting to higher frequencies of things that where we feel good about ourselves and we feel good about what we're doing or having in our life, despite the things that are happening in and around us. I know that the audience is well aware of some of the changes that are happening, which we know, is the old system coming down. And if we hold the frequency of the higher vibration, the faster we are going to help ourselves and everybody uh, in our world with that. And but we also know that we're really meant to be healthy and whole. And so the E system does return us to our original appropriate electrical matrix. And here again, studies have shown that it just increases our cellular charge to the optimal level. And lots of testing. So this is Dr. John Areva, who is the was a well-known biophysicist and the top researcher in terms of brain research at the Pentagon and DoD. And when he looked at E-System, he was just amazed by the technology. It was truly amazing physics at a high level application. And again, transmutation of detrimental energy fields. And this is a way to represent looking at the body's energy field with something called GDV, or gas discharge visualization. And there's a company from uh, the inventor, Dr. Konstantin Karatov in Russia, called BioWell. And so you can see that in this case, this researcher, Dr. Sabina DeVita, who is a well-known GDV researcher and this author of electromagnetic pollution, she, was uh, just at first very curious why something that was electronic could help. And, she also found that there was no detrimental fields. And in this case, for a woman in a 4 unit at that time, uh, she was feverish, she did not feel well, she had a headache, she felt depressed. And 1 hour later, you can see that her biofields have improved. There's less gaps, and there is just more uniformity. And so her headache was gone. She felt more optimistic, had more energy, and it was very dramatic. Now, everybody has individual responses, so sometimes people may take a certain amount of time. We have some members who have very dedicated to the health. They have done 100, 200, 300. We have a member who's done 400 hours and see benefits at each time interval, because this effect is cumulative. And because we're constantly bombarded by toxins, this is a way to maintain your vitality, your energy, and start clearing away the things that you're meant to clear, whether it's mental or emotional or physical issues. But again, it's your own body working with this healthy environment. And then lots of other studies. So you can see here that from an echograph where the energy fields were lower, it improved. In thermography, all this pain and inflammation was significantly reduced. This is an object used in Kirlian photography where this is before and this charge was afterwards. And this maintained for several weeks. So the concept, again, of infinite energy is really amazing to see that we have that. And this is a view of some blood cells before and after. You can see the dramatic difference. And I'm going to share more details about the live blood microscopy. But here you can see before and afterwards the balancing of chakras. So I know that, in my own chakras, it went from 84 to 94% in an hour, and over 90% is ideal. And our energy centers are connected to many organ systems, so it's important to have balance in those chakra centers. So Dr. Vega, who's an oncologist, and he looked at the blood flow. So where there was an increase in the toxins where there wasn't before the E system, blood was more fluid, and this goes along with that there is more hydration, oxygenation of the blood, and that they were able to get rid of parasites, fungi, viruses that weren't there before the E system. So they could clearly see that there was a difference. And so detoxification is such a key part of the whole EE system experience. And the detoxification is a protocol that EE system provides us that is with sea salt, baking soda, and multi borax and hypercharged salts. So and people feel great. It's fantastic when people sometimes come out of the system, they're radiant, but then they go home to have their detox bath and they feel amazing. So again, there's been other doctors that documented. So Dr. Vega, another doctor, was cured of blindness. And we have seen many testimonials with people improving their eye vision, whether it's macular degeneration or cataract. So again, it's really key what your intention is, because that goes along with how powerful we are, in that when we hold an intention, and especially in the field, we can create the process for change. But here, Dr. John Burtich it's documented a man who recovered from paralysis, and Dr. James DeBoer, extremely rapid post-surgical healing. And we've seen that. We've seen people report that they did really well before surgery by being in the E-system, and they did really well after surgery too. So lots of applications for this. Here's an EEG study showing that there was a significant amount of normalizing. And here's a case study with Dr. Terry Shintani, who is at the University of Hawaii, and he's a pediatrician and was head of the department. But he had a 4-year-old uh, just patient, a little girl with autism, and just a seizure disorder where she had multiple ones, 6 to 8. And these are tonic-clonic seizures. These are big seizures for this little girl. And she had 1 or 2 sessions, and she was just playing, being her normal 4-year-old self. And but in the field, and what they noticed, that after the third treatment, she had a seizure-free day for the first time after a year and a half, and her seizures continued to lessen with more sessions. So this is really exciting that in this case, the family tried everything. There's unfortunately many different kinds of medications that can help, but they can have their side effects too. And here she was able to get some change just with the E-system. So again, some of the things I talked about already, but it improves heart rate variability. It improves the communication between cells. It promotes DNA and nerve regeneration, which is why it's so beneficial for people who have suffered strokes. So if you can get them into the system in as much hours as you can, especially if they're dealing with acute or chronic condition, you're going to see transformation. So it requires just dedication and a commitment to healing yourself and setting your intentions and really trusting that process. But there's an effect on mood. So you'll see a lot of people dealing with stress, uh, anxiety, depression were helped. And you can get into a meditative state like a Tibetan monk in 7 minutes, which is really wonderful because it's a state of being closer to the divine, but also accesses your potential for shifting your frequency, your vibration, your energy. So many, many beneficial effects that have been documented scientifically already. And also clinically, but we really wanted to see, because my own results with the E-system was at my biological age. As people had heard my earlier interviews, and this was when I was 52, but my biological age at baseline was 50, and it went from 50 to 47 to 38. And so I was very intrigued, like, oh, this is interesting. Will I be able to show this in other people? And so we wanted to look at all the results, and we did this over 6 months at the beginning of the year. It does take time to get the information back and process it. So what I'm sharing is, yes, some of the main highlights of the study. And so we had our participants, 26 of them, spend 52 hours in the 24 unit. And they could do in 2 hour segments or more, or some people did 10-hour overnights. And overnights are great because you are going to be sleeping anyway, and your body's, especially in a relaxed state, is able to activate the stem cells towards healing. And so we followed them with just measuring blood tests, and these were simple at-home test kits. So it didn't require a lot of blood, but you could also be able to get information about blood pressure, And also we had surveys to kind of document their journey during the 6 months. So we accepted all conditions and we measured things like uh, uh, not only the blood pressure, but percent body fat and the expression, the epigenetic expression that would help us get the biological age and different metabolic markers like cholesterol and oxidative stress and other things, hormone levels. And why I look at biological age is because it can predict your risk for disease. And so if you can reverse your aging by 7 years, you cut your risk in half, which is amazing. And so we went with the test kit that had done a lot of testing. We're developing more up to date and scientifically accurate ways to assess biological age. And so many people might know about telomeres, which are in red in these ends of the chromosomes. We have 23 pairs that we can see inside every cell except for red blood cells. And so, again, we kind of inherit one set of chromosomes from mom and one from dad. But these telomeres are very helpful for stability of our DNA. So they're kind of like the end cap, so to speak. But their length corresponds with biological age. So when the cells divide, as all cells can do, they will shorten the telomere. Or if there's some sort of things that might affect the health of the DNA, they may shorten the telomere. So it can be a dynamic process, but we also know that the telomere length can be associated with certain kinds of health problems, such as cancer and certain chronic diseases like heart disease. And this is now has been studied. So this was one of the original ones, but there's now 11 other predictors, which is incorporated in some of the other things I'll be talking about. So another way that we looked at just this question of biological age was the rate of aging. So when we measure things like blood pressure, for example, it's a point in time. And so this rate of aging is also like a point in time because it can uh, go faster, you can age faster, or you can age slower, which can be seen even by looking at people. So this is a 5-decade research project that they did in Doon in New Zealand. And you can see, let's say if these individuals are age 50, this might be average. This might be someone who looks maybe like 40 when they're actually 50. This might be somebody who looks like they're 60 when they're actually 50. And the same thing with men. And we see this around maybe family and friends in our community as well. But this has been very much validated. So this was the second way we looked at it. And this is just kind of representing that you'll get a number between zero point 0.6, which is zero point 0.6 biological year per chronological age. If you're aging slower, or if you're aging faster, it could be 1.4 years biologically per year of chronological age. And it can, again, it can change over time and can be looked at your risk for health conditions to a risk for death over time. And so this is my own results. I was right around one when I started. And when I talked about that my biological age had gone down, I also got this that my rate of aging was slowing down. But you can see this is where I fit in with a lot of other data points of people doing the same kind of testing. The third algorithm that we used, because these reports are very detailed, but I chose the ones, and this is one that was developed in 2023. Their kind of latest and with the best kind of scientific evidence is something called the OMIC algorithm, where they look at these changes along the DNA, especially in looking at protein and metabolites. And these are things that naturally occur in our body. We use proteins for a lot of things in our body to carry, let's say, factors and nutrients, and they may be part of our cell walls. And so these are, again, well-known kind of things that they looked at. And this is also research showing that, this uh, research on just biological aging, they look at, yes, many things, but they know that the telomeres have are validated, meaning that there's a lot of studies, but has a low predictive power. And really, the newer thing was to look at the epigenetic clock, which is what that omic age was. The next one, so we did it over 6 months and just different time points that we collected tests and things like that, surveys. And everybody had to hydrate because that's part of the protocol of being in the E system. You want to move things out of your body. So hydration is so key before, during, after an EES session. But they had to attend within the 6 month period and do the detox regularly. Otherwise, we didn't make too many changes because we just really wanted to focus on the main effect of the E system. We had 26 people, 20 women and 6 men. The average age was 60, but there was a range of 41 to 75. Many had different kinds of health problems, from mood issues to thyroid to heart to um, just female issues such as this dysmenorrhea represents just painful periods, just several kinds of issues like Parkinson's and PTSD and different kinds of arthritis. And so about half were on medications. Many took supplements, not all. And we collected information about lifestyle, like the nutrition, exercise, sleep, if they use any substances like tobacco, alcohol, and just their state of just emotional and mental health, their resilience, and their connection to themselves spiritually and mind body. And so now we're getting to the results. So this will be exciting for your audience to hear. But we had 8 folks who had elevated blood pressure, high blood pressure, and they all saw a decrease in their blood pressure. And on average, it was on the top, what we call the systolic blood pressure, 28 millimeter of mercury, and the bottom, the diastolic, was 12. And we have heard testimonials that people have been able to reduce their blood pressure. Now, of course, if you're on medications, you may want to work with your primary care doctor to monitor your blood pressure so it doesn't go too low, but you don't want to just stop your medications without some guidance. And also, there was a decrease in percent body fat and weight noted in some folks as well. Some people didn't have any change, and this was not a study designed, but we'd have heard people losing weight around the middle, for example. So this is why we wanted to look at it. And perhaps, bigger study focused on weight loss might show more difference. We also know that at baseline, in terms of their biological age, 13 were younger than their chronological age, and 13 were older versus chronological age. But what was very interesting was that the ones who were more youthful tended to be on average older, 67. And the amount of youthfulness was about almost 4 years, 3.72. And the ones who seemed to be biologically older were actually younger. So average age was 55, and their age biologically was 58. So they were aged by about 3.5 years more. And it's an interesting question. Why are younger people? It may be because they're dealing with a lot more stress. And it also could be that as people just become, let's say, youthful in time, they have a different perspective on life. So, but it is an interesting thing to note. And this is really one of the highlights. So we did have to just look at 23 people because of some technical issues. And we did have one person who had COVID a week before the 6 month testing. And while she was 10, she was actually younger at baseline. Uh, it somehow aged her by 30 years. And there is a question about COVID having that effect and what COVID is, which I'm sure your audience will understand what I'm saying. But the OMIC age, 19 out of 23, were biologically younger after the 52 hours. So 82% were on average 3.44 years younger with the E system. The range was 0.49 to as much as 15, a little over 15 and a half years. So this is really remarkable. And the student PACE's rate of aging, so 21 out of 23 had a slower rate of aging. It was about 91%. So the amount of biological age slowing was 0.11 years. The telomeres, they were more of a mixed bag. And what was interesting is this company actually has put this into more of their legacy reports, so they're really not using the telomere age as much. And we saw things. We saw people's good cholesterol, the HDL, improve, and some people had lowering of their LDL, their low density lipoprotein, their kind of the more negative cholesterol particle. And we also saw that for some women who were in menopause, that their estradiol and progesterone levels improved. And 3 out of 6 men, this is really exciting, had improved testosterone levels. And what we have heard from numerous testimonials is that men and women have improved libido, improved sexual function. And for men, like one member at our center reported he's in his late 50s and he didn't have any success with Viagra, but with regular E system sessions, he had morning erections like he had in his teenage years, and which is a normal thing, for men to have. And so he was very happy about that. Um, but we also saw that there was an improved adrenal function. So these are stress hormones that we normally have, but there were a few people that had low adrenal function, and this also improved. So that's what's exciting to see. And this goes into a lot of survey data, but yes, some people, about half, had improvement in their health and energy levels. Some had no change. And some, yes, there was some change in maybe their energy levels overall, which kind of goes to the fact that, again, there's so much around us that it could be that more people improved with more time in the E system. Overall, if they had to say 20 out of the 26, they reported things like feeling more balanced, uh, in tune with higher self. They could get answers more quickly and at more levels. They were more relaxed. It leveled out their energy slumps. So this is really important when people have a long active day and they just felt more energetic, could accomplish more. They could wake up after good 8 hours of sleep and feel rested and restored. This person reported some improvement in their blood sugar, and this person reported an improvement in their depression. Sleep, over half, it did improve, slept longer, deeper, and so just overall quality of the sleep was better, deeper dreams, they could fall asleep faster and get back to sleep quicker. So it was wonderful to see that, yes, we don't have to rely on sleeping aids. This is something that could shift um, and be able to have the way to have improved sleep for a longer period of time. And part of the process sometimes with the E-system is releasing energetic blocks that might keep you stuck. And so as you do that, you may have allowed your body to heal itself and not necessarily have a return of mood problems or sleep problems. Nutrition, people improved that because they were more rested and creative, they had more energy for cooking healthy meals, and there was less emotional eating, which is great to see. Exercise, so this is great to see. Half the people also improved because they were stronger, more flexible. If they had some joint or musculoskeletal issue, that actually healed, so they could actually exercise. So they had more energy and motivation to exercise. So that's wonderful. Their purpose in life, many, 10 out of 26, said that improved their connection to the creator. About a third improved. And they felt that they had more intuition, they were disconnected more with their soul and spirit. They had a higher level of consciousness and they could focus on the positive, and they had a stronger connection to God, which is, again, um, wonderful to see. And um, in some ways, it strengthens our connection to recognizing that we've always been connected to the divine, and having that potential to uh, anchor that more, to widen that connection is very powerful. So in terms of stress, half improved, despite some of them going through very challenging health and life problems. Their resilience also improved. They're much more calm. Other people are noticing this. They are able to deal with high amount of stress, and they can also handle things much smoother. and they could also have more resilience and they just go more with the flow or bounce back quicker. Mind body connection, because a lot of people sometimes are disconnected with their body. They may feel something, but they may not represent. So understand that that represents something. For example, pain is sometimes a representation of trapped emotions. And well, yes, people might say, oh, it's because I have arthritis. Sometimes I've seen people with minimal arthritis and had terrible pain, and the vice versa. Terrible x-rays showing lots of arthritis, but they were still very functional and able to go on with their life. So they reported that they were more aware what was going on and more peaceful and present. They could get connected with their emotions. And this is key because a lot of people are numb to feeling, and being connected to your emotions is really important to make the shift in your energy and your consciousness. So mood, depression, anxiety improved. And we see this. We see people report being able to cut down or go off antidepressants or anxiolytic medications. And they just felt more levels, able to deal with past traumas, even if it was decades. And some people sometimes had a way of being, whether it was feeling anxious or melancholy, and they actually had moved beyond that. So it was wonderful. That was more joy and gratitude. And this is just a few experiences. So this young woman had issues with arthritis in her hands, and she was a musician and had these painful periods. They're gone. And she was so delighted about that. And another woman had anxiety panic attacks and had to go to the emergency room multiple times. No visit since being in the study. Another woman had a lot of pain in her jaw and head and was going through a lot of family life stressors. But that went away, and she was just able to deal with emotions and just with her thoughts, especially with a lot of just life events. And another woman, multiple life stressors, PTSD, she was more calm, able to move forward. So that is really a summary of what we did, but there's ongoing research. I'm actually doing another study right now with 100 hours in the E-system, and we're adding some coaching with that. But there is certainly uh, a very interesting question about, yes, many different things that could be answered with this kind of research. So I really uh, I'm very happy that this is something that your audience might be interested, or maybe talk to, if you have a local e-system about that. We may do more studies in terms of the amount of time that people spend and the effects that they have. So if people want to get in touch with me, I just also want to acknowledge, besides Dr. Sandra Rose Michael and Michael Scalar, her son, the COE system, and the Wellness Visions team. But if people want to get in touch with me, they can certainly email me or send me a phone message or call, or go to the Wellness Visions website. Uh, and uh, there's also a YouTube channel where I do have some information on the e-system there as well. So that's it. Thank you so much, SG, for allowing me the time to share the results. I know it was a lot of information, but I hope that your audience, the Patriots, have learned a little bit more and maybe looking forward if they've not had a chance to be in an EE system.
That was a powerful presentation and overview, Dr. Shu, and I just have to say thank you very much from all of us here at QNP for that. I have one final question, and that sort of ties itself into the blending of landscapes. We're entering a blended ecosystem here in the world in so many different ways, from finance to government, decentralization and law and business and things of that nature, and this emerging meld, really a marriage between the spiritual component side of the human being through frequency, through vibration, through resonance, through the understanding of energy and our multidimensional nature as people. So, my last question is going to be a little bit of a two-part question. First of all, do we have, in your professional opinion, enough of a cumulative body of data to justify more expansive studies with respect to this type of technology? And as we do those studies moving forward, what is your prognostication, for lack of a better term, on what this will do to all of us from a self-satisfaction standpoint, understanding more about our bodies, more about our minds and spirits and emotions, and how that all works together here in the world? What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. The effects are beneficial. And I love that you brought up the multidimensional aspect because this technology is advanced fifth dimensional level, and we're shifting to that world, fifth dimension. And not only does it help align our mind, body, and spirit and soul in really focusing on how to bring the frequency of a new level of society on so many fronts, from the geopolitical to the financial to the educational system and just all fronts, the healthcare system. But as people are making the shift, this not only helps people with their health, but it actually can improve academic, business performance, sports performance, and it will shift our consciousness to assist us into the transition of all these different layers of structures in our world. So I do believe that as people are introduced to the E system and understand the impact it has on assisting them to change their energy, consciousness, their health, their perspective on a world, this will actually be an exponential effect because there's power in not only the work we do individually, but in communities. As they come together into the E systems, we can send this frequency, the new earth, towards more balance, peace, love, collaboration, and really focus on how we can be highest service in our lifetimes to what we were meant to come into this planet for, but also to shift the whole world into a cleaner, safer, more abundant world. And so the E system is not only helping individuals, as I mentioned, and living beings, but it's helping the whole planet from the aspect of it is a technology, as we'll be finding out more, that can assist with cleaning the water, for example. And this is where some of the toxicity that we're all surrounded by. For example, Dr. Sandra Rose Michael, I know SG, when we were with her recently, she mentioned that what a 4 unit used to be able to do, we need a 24 unit at least because of the toxicity. And we're in a transition period where all the things that we know are not, the light is coming out and it's going to be transmuted. However, it's going to be a conscious effort for all the uh, audience members and those who might be listening to this to be intentional about this, to recognize what are shifts that you can make internally to assist you, and then add to the collective just, you know, wave. This is going to go exponential. So I really believe that as we can document more time, that we're going to see amazing, amazing results.
A great awakening that cannot be stopped. Dr. Shu,
That's right.
thank you very much for joining us again here at Q News Patriot. For the audience out there, I hope you very much enjoyed the conversation and taken as much detail and information away from it as I have. You can navigate to the links in the description below the video to learn more. This is SG Anon. I'll be back with all of you again soon on the Q News Patriot. God bless everyone. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you.